So my cat jumps on my chest. I have to stop what I'm doing and try and figure out what she needs and why is she doing that? And I'll hear back the cat will say that my person is like in their head too much at that moment. And they need to break away from whatever they're doing. But you're in your head worrying about something and you're like muddling through it. And if you were to step away and then come back to it, the problem, the solution to that problem reveals itself, right?
Sure.
More easily. Or they literally might be spending too much time on social media, and the pet could feel their um their energy dropping, or their self-esteem kind of dropping, or what have you, that can come from too much screen time or too much social media time, right? And so the pet
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Ascension Gateway. I am your host, Sharon Sananda Kumara. And today I'm really excited because I'm talking with Marla Santino. Hi, Marla.
Hi Sharon, good to see you.
You too, again? Yeah, totally. Marla did a show with me. I guess it's been 3 or 4 months now, where she communicated with animals on the other side. And Marla is a animal communicator, and so she did some amazing work with people on a live show with people who wanted help with their animal companions. So it's awesome to see Marla again. And we're going to be working together with the Academy. Marla's going to be offering a course next year in March and doing some really cool stuff. So I'm so happy to be chatting with Marla again today. Marla, do you mind sharing a little bit of your background and how you started communicating with animals, or how you realize that you could, or
Right.
maybe it's just natural. Of course, it
Right.
really is, but just share a little bit about that if you don't mind, please.
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, so I can, back to my earliest memories of like times when I was like mobile, but not totally verbal. I was recognized communicating with pets and just kind of hearing their thoughts, and and understanding their emotions. And so I just lived with that, the good and the bad. Sometimes my feelings were hurt because they were sad, and sometimes I was happy because they were happy. And then, until I hit maybe the age 10, 11, certainly by 12, I started to realize um, that not everybody had that same experience. And although I still think there were some of them, some of my old girlfriends probably could understand or hear, but didn't want to admit it anymore. It just wasn't cool and got to being a little bit weird, right? So I put that on the shelf for a while and followed a corporate career through my young adult and then mid-adult years. And about 20 years ago, I guess, a couple decades ago, I got connected with a Native American group, and lo and behold, they think that these kind of skills and gifts are amazing and love to have people grow and tap into them. So I was all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, like really with my peeps. And so I, followed along some ceremonies and was guided to mediumship, kind of tapping into this sort of way of communicating. And the next thing you know, I'm, connecting with some animal communicators and like, this is pretty cool. And tried it with a few friends and realized that it was something that was coming fairly easily for me. And quickly understood that I could be of really good service to people and to pets. So I spent about a decade growing it, developing it, and then recently have been able to apply my more of my full-time work into that effort. So excited to do that.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. That, yeah, that's so important. I feel that's so important because we, a lot of people, me included, sometimes are of the misconception just because animals don't communicate the way we do, that they're not actually understanding us and or aren't able to communicate, you know, to us, which I feel that they do all the time, right? I mean, body language, intuitively, all kinds of things. I mean, that's how they communicate with each other, right? Yeah. So this is just so important. The work you do is so important for helping us understand how animals communicate as well. Can you share a little bit about okay, so you're able to communicate with animals in the body and on the other side, correct? Okay.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yep. Yeah. So the way that it works for me is that I start off with, I'm able to certainly communicate in person, right? But then most of the work that I do is with a photo. So I have different people that I work with are around the globe. And so certainly having a pet right with you. So they'll share a picture with me or a photo. And again, that can be a pet that's either present or past. And through that photo, I'm able to connect with the pet and start a conversation. They like to share a little bit about their personalities to start with, helps the people to feel confirmed that, we are, connecting with their pet. Yeah. And then we'll start with a conversation. And to your point earlier, Sharon, pets they always hear us and understand us. The challenge is them trying to have a conversation back with their human
Mhm.
and express to them what they need. So, one story that comes to mind, I think stories are a great way of sort of sharing how this works and ways that it benefits. And the funny thing about these stories too is that I don't remember all my conversations, right? I mean, who could? But
Yeah.
these stories that come up when they do come to the front of my mind, it's for a purpose, right? So I don't know if it's somebody who's listening to this at this moment, or if it's going to be for the whole good to kind of understand what that communication could look like. But for one example, I had a family reach out because they were concerned that their dog was afraid of loud noises. Very common issue, right? Where that comes from, different places. But like a person, there's some people that really can get triggered by a loud noise. What's interesting is that they said, hey, a noise happens and my dog goes and runs underneath the table, the dining room table. And so the question came up with, well, is that a problem? Like, no, we just want to make sure that, he's comfortable and he's not scared, well, it scared him, it startled him, but he just needs to go into a safe place for a minute and sort of, reset
Right.
before, coming back out again. So actually what this dog had asked for then was to have a bed placed underneath the dining room table, not just for his own comfort, a place where he could go and lay when he was feeling vulnerable or, again, maybe a little bit triggered, but more importantly, so that he knew the family was accepting him and even this moment of behavior when he felt vulnerable or was scared. And instead of having them go under the table and go, oh, are you okay? Oh, this is a real thing. Instead, they were like, oh, he's gone under the table. He's going to rest. And when he's done, he'll come out.
So it's kind of letting him be.
Let it be him. Yeah. So, sometimes as pet parents, we think that we need to, uh, drop in and help them with any moment, any emotional moment that they have. And sometimes they just need to process that moment.
Yeah.
and for us to accept that. So that's just one example of where that family was able to have a better understanding of their pet's desires, needs, kind of wants through communication.
I love that. That makes so much sense. Yeah, because we, as pet parents, uh, caretakers of our animals, that we always want them to be comfortable, always want them to be happy. And if something, yeah, does go wrong where they get frightened or something like that, like I just took my dog to the vet and she's shaking, I just, and I'm like comforting her to help her, of course. But I can't take her out of the situation. That that's
Yeah,
the problem. So I did I just let her work through her thing, but I did have her on my lap because she's a little dog. But yeah, I want to take it away from her. I want to take all that stress and all that, fear away from her, but we can't do that. We,
it's
yeah.
life, right?
Mm.
Yeah. For some people, they have that, I forgot what it's called, but it's sort of that white coat trigger event that
Oh,
occurs.
right.
Yeah,
White
right.
coat syndrome, I think it's called.
Yeah, right. So you see a physician, and even if they are, they logically know that, they're just here for a checkup or what have you, who knows what kind of background or what kind of fear comes up, and you get scared. But within us, we have ways that we can hide it. And for them, body language is a big part of the way that they communicate without any uh, masks over that.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, because they're natural, they're real. They don't
For real.
totally. Humans have developed these repressive mechanisms to repress our emotion for lots of reasons. So, but they don't do that. They
Right.
aren't,
They don't do
not
that.
very well anyway, you know.
Yeah, and so whenever I'm working with someone, whether it's somebody who's looking to increase their abilities around animal communication, either for themselves or maybe friends or family, or even making it a service, right, to a larger group, the first thing that we start with is a meditation where we can open up our heart chakra and really make that big and beautiful, and it's full of our mother earth and our father sky and star energy, the purest of the pure, right? But it's so important to do that because as humans, we don't always make sense to our pets and our companions. S-
Or
So,
to other humans.
right, we have to say, like, when we're going to do a communication center session, we have to say, like, this is our purest, most open, very clear, person that's coming to them to communicate. Because, it could have been an hour ago or even 2 days ago that they see their human interacting with somebody that they know because of our scent or the way we did something, or that person didn't make us comfortable, yet we still had some level of conversation with them. We held up this facade, like, we could be here for a moment, and that's that mask that us as humans can put on. And for our pet companions, it confuses them. They're like, you think about it in their world. If it was another dog, that dog would be like growling and saying, like
Yeah,
showing like, I don't like you. And
right.
or a cat, any animal, any from the kingdom would be expressing how their true feelings. And for us, we sort of play over that. So it's important,
Yeah.
if we're going to do a communication session, that we open up that heart chakra and just and provide them with that, knowing that we're in our truest form.
A more pure communication without the filters and all that, what we drag
Right.
into it. Yeah, I
Right.
know. I see my
Yeah.
cats. I see my cats when they'll just walk up to each other and look in the face, look at their face and decide whether you're in a good mood. Are you in a good mood for me to play or to play, or are you just being grouchy today? And you can tell what that other cat is communicating to, when they approach each other. by the way the other cat reacts. It's they don't need words. That's what I have one cat that never meows. Of course, some meow all the time. He doesn't feel the need to meow to let us know what he needs or anything like that. It's so
Mhm.
funny. Well, they're all different, just like we are.
Very much, very much. For, sometimes I wish that some people could hear, hundreds of sessions and realize that each one is so unique, and that, what they're hearing from their animal is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are some commonalities, like, some want to talk about food, but even in that case, they get so detailed and it's always so unique. It's a very, very unique to them. And sometimes, the human's like, well, of course, I had one dog that said, loved my hair. And this is a dog that actually had passed. I loved my hair and I'd be able to stick my head out the window and have my hair, the wind in my hair. And then the person was like, well, of course, doesn't every dog? And I'm like, well, actually, no.
No, my
Every
dog
dog.
doesn't. My
So,
dog doesn't at all.
yeah. So
That's so funny.
yeah, we worked on that a little bit further until she was convinced that we were talking with her pet. But sometimes it takes a bit of time for people to be convinced that we're connected with their pet. I had one,
Oh, it's like that in all mediumship, I think.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I do connect to animals on the other side too in my mediumship practice. And they're very I love connecting with animals because they're so pure. The communication is so pure
Yes.
and they're so open too. It's to me it's easy to communicate with animals, a lot easier sometimes than people. But yeah, and that's okay. That's all right. It's all good.
All a process. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
definitely a process.
So let me ask you this, Marla. So what are some things that you've experienced with your clientele and a couple examples, more examples if you'd like to share that might be some kind of a common theme among animals, pets
Mhm.
that people can learn from.
Sure.
Okay.
So, and like I mentioned, each one is they're all
Yeah.
unique, right? And when it comes
Right.
down to the details, but one that pops into my mind is that pets that are having a change in diet, or specifically getting maybe some supplements added, right, into their diet, they are either they can either come back and say, that is not helping at all. You're wasting your money. Let's do something different. Right. Which is one that a human kind of follows, their caretakers can kind of follow. That's the natural route for a caretaker to take. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, the other one, though, is that really helped. That's not solving the whole issue. So even though you're still seeing these symptoms, I want to keep that, but we just need to add something more to it. So that's where understanding a little more in depth about, what your pet's asking for, or what kind of progress or changes that they're making, where it can really make a difference, to understand, okay, is that helping or not? And what more are they, what more are they looking for? And they can be very detailed about, if their allergy is environmental or food, if where their sensitivities might come from, if it's that they are experiencing arthritis or inflammation, like that supplement's helping with my arthritis, but I'm still got inflammation. So
Mhm. Okay, so a person would need to actually sit in the way I'm hearing you, sit with their animal,
yeah,
and ask them, okay, what's going on with you, or ask their body maybe, because the animal might not even know, right? They might not even know exactly what's bothering them, just like us. Is that right?
that happens too. Yes.
Okay.
They don't always have the answer, they can tell you, like, here's my symptoms, but they don't always have
Oh,
the answer
gotcha.
for what's wrong, right? And so
Right.
certainly, right, communication is not in place of a vet or behavior or
Yeah.
training, right? It definitely is, part of.
Yeah.
So speaking of like training, another common request is that the person says, all right, I do my due diligence and I take my pet for a walk every day. And then some even go to the point of saying, well, it's not really for exercise. I do them so that they can sniff, right? And when sometimes the pet's like, I would much rather go someplace where I can be off leash and not have to, be on that sort of track that the person's taking me on. They don't always enjoy the activity that humans are sometimes it's suggested to a human or a caretaker, a pet's caretaker, that is important for a pet. So I'll give you another example. Not all pets enjoy going into Home Depot or Lowe's or what have you. For some, the cold and slippery concrete, the number of people, the number of smells, the
Yeah, it's
lights,
overwhelming. Yeah.
overwhelming.
Mhm.
And for others, they love it.
Mhm.
Is for the ones that don't love it, does that mean they need more of it to become more socialized? No, no.
Probably
Do
not.
socialization in another way. Yeah.
Mhm.
For those that love it, certainly, allow them to have that kind of time and that socialization with humans. But not, yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not for every dog.
Yeah.
Not every dog is some are introverts and some are extroverts.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, like a lot of people too, for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, my dog can't handle that unless I put her in the cart or I take her to PetSmart or Petco or whatever. As long as she's in the cart, I can't take her on a leash because she gets too overwhelmed. But she's little enough to put in the cart. That way she feels safe.
Right.
And then
And
she
she can
loves it.
probably see, yeah, and she can
Yes.
see, and she feels like she's got some kind of control of her own
Control.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is
totally.
a good thing. Yeah.
In her safe space. Just
Right.
like the bed underneath the table is a safe space. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
That's important. And so let me ask you this. I feel that if people, as long as people are trusting their intuitive abilities, their intuition, their gut um instincts and that kind of thing, that they will able to communicate a lot easier with their animals. And especially as time goes by, when you're with your animal for, a
yep.
long period of time, longer period of time. If you get a new animal, of course, it takes a little getting used to each other. But I find that you just become symbiotic with each other as long as you're trusting that and are tapping into your intuition because, and I'm sure you can confirm this, that they do communicate with us intuitively.
Oh, yes, all the time. And they often try to share very simple messages to start off with, because to them, we're like a kindergartner, right? They're like, okay, I got to bring out the big crayons here and let's see if we can get this message across.
I got to
And
train this one.
yeah, sorry.
Another one I got to train. Yeah.
Another one I got to try and figure this out. And so my advice to people when they're working with and communicating with their own pets is, first and foremost, sit and have that quiet moment. It only takes a couple of minutes, but sometimes I know that that can seem like a lot of time or it can feel overwhelming. But, if you can sit with them and for a couple of minutes and just have that again, open up that heart chakra and that heart space and say, okay, I'm in my genuine space here. And communicate with them as much detail about your day, whatever's coming up. I mean, certainly if they have something coming, share details with them.
Yeah.
If it's just your day, um, share with them what you expected in the morning, what you expect your day to look like, or if it's in the evening, hey, I expected my day to turn out this way and it really shifted, right? And then be quiet for a moment and just see what pops in your head, or in your gut or in whatever of your senses is the strongest. I mean, we all have all of those senses that are available to us, but one is generally stronger than others. And then you have to trust that intuition, right? You have to trust that
Right.
message or that sense. And then just say to them, "Oh, I just caught this. So I, thanks for your patience and sharing and thank them for taking that time with you." And even if you're completely off the mark and somehow didn't, they do such a wonderful job knowing like, okay, we're starting to align. And I always hear back from people that they would definitely see a shift in their relationship with their pet. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And it helps with behaviors and everything. Once they know that they're supported and they're understood, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And
does.
supported. Yeah, I did say supported. Um, so I like what you said about sharing details of what's upcoming. Now you did tell, because I was sharing with Marla before we came on, started recording, that my dog is going to have some surgery in a couple weeks, and you mentioned sharing with her, the details of that beforehand, and I didn't even think about that. So I appreciate that. Now I do think about letting her know when I go out of town, because I'm leaving Saturday and I'm going to be gone for a week. And we're very bonded. So my boyfriend's taking care of her, but she gets stressed out when I'm not around.
Mhm.
So what is the best way to let her know that? And let her know I'm gonna be gone for a week.
Right,
And
right.
she'll be fine. She'll be fine. Yeah.
She'll be fine. Yes. So, first and foremost, you sit down with her and say, "I'm going to go on a trip for a week." And then send images of what a week looks like and send a couple different ones just so that it validates what you're sending. So you might send the dates on a calendar, right? And show them that they were Saturday to Saturday and that how many, like sunrises and settings that'll occur through that time.
Okay.
And also send a visual of where you're going to be. And that does a couple of things. One is helps them to be able to, understand how long you're going to be gone, certainly. But also, when you start to show them visually where you're going to go and what you're going to be doing, it increases their curiosity about it. And so now they start to wonder a little bit like, oh, so as she's still missing you, hopefully that starts to shift a little bit of her own minds. It's a she.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So hopefully that shifts her mindset a little bit to even start thinking like, okay, so she said it was going to be like these 3 days, and I wonder what she's doing to now, and I wonder if it's sunny there, or like she was expecting, or whatever, right? So whatever visual you send of where you're going and what you're going to be doing, and the weather and the room that you're going to be staying at and people that you're going to be seeing will help to transition their thoughts to what you might be doing at that moment and just help them to expand that experience a little bit as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm guilty of not really thinking about animals, thinking what is going on outside their immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, because I know they're in the moment. I know that. Um, but uh, but yeah, that would make sense because they have a lot of time to think and reflect.
They always, yes, they're
It's their day.
reflecting, yes. And it's so funny how they they have their own communication happening within their little groups, whether it's a herd or,
Right.
and it's not uncommon for me to talk with, let's say, one horse, and that horse say, well, so and so, this other horse needs this, or this is what we're right. Right. So, I had one that shared the kind of liniment that they wanted to have used after riding. and they showed me the bottle. I wasn't familiar with it, but I described it. The person figured it out. And they were like, yeah, because my horse friend down here told me that was the best one out of, out of the ones that they've used. So they ask each other questions and communicate.
You
That
know, so I saw a video recently where a man had these two cats, has these two cats, and they communicate on those buttons that you communicate with, the communication buttons. I don't know what they're called, but those are amazing. And one cat was telling him that his buddy, the other cat, was having stomach problems. Now, the man knew that the other cat was not feeling good, was depressed or something like that, but he didn't know what was going on, and the vet couldn't even tell him what was going on. So he found out from the other cat on these communication buttons what was wrong with his other cat, where he took to the vet and they figured it out through that.
right. Yeah, isn't that funny? And we are, and we're actually asking for the pets to come down to our level and learn English or whatever,
Right,
right? But the
right.
ones I watch are in English, and
Yes.
they, and so we're asking them kind of come to, so they're so generous with their pets, are so understanding, they're so generous, they're so, yeah, patient with
Mhm.
us. And so they're learning this, and for them to be able to express their feelings,
Mhm.
something that they want, something that they're curious about. And that's that part of the communication that we were talking about earlier. And and people will ask, I feel like when I talk to my pet, they understand me. Yeah, they absolutely do. The question is, well, how do you hear from them? Like, where did they get their voice? And that's what I love
They,
about those
right.
buttons, right? Is
Yeah.
because they're given a voice where
Yes.
they can express feelings or ask questions or, uh, you know, uh, yeah, start to put in a request for something, right? Yeah.
Right. That, yes, because I've seen a few of those videos where they're telling the person, I because the person will say, okay, well, tell me what you want, because they're just saying, like my dog's staring at me,
Right, right, right.
staring. Uh, okay, tell me what you want, and they'll go over to the button and hit go potty or something, or go outside, or want to play, or go for a walk, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, or even the ones that are crazy, like go see grandpa,
Wow. Yeah.
right? And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna go do that tomorrow. And so for them, just like a human, to go and see some of their favorite people is something that they really enjoy. And how else are they able to communicate that? Yeah.
So I can, yeah, and how the person can communicate to them through the buttons. I haven't seen one like that, but that makes so much sense through the buttons, maybe tomorrow, and
Exactly.
help that animal understand when tomorrow is. At least they know, okay, well, we're gonna go see grandpa at some, I mean, it's not that animals are children at all, or toddlers or something like that, but it's kind of when they're training us to communicate with.
Right. So we have to start in kindergarten, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to allow them to start at kindergarten because they're actually learning the new language. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so giving them that opportunity and that space to do that, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I found that what helps me the most is to think like them, to be able, instead of, I mean, these buttons are awesome, but, and also try to think like a dog would think, or try to think like a cat would think it in those moments, and, instead of trying to, force them to think like us,
Come to
like a
us.
human,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if we can't, they can't.
And I would challenge you, I guess would be the right way
Yes.
to say it, at times. So that is a pretty common question that I get as well, is, sometimes my dog just come and stare at me, sit on my chest and stare at me, just bark at me, whatever. And so the human says, the caretaker says, so I go through my list of things, do you have to go to the bathroom? Are you hungry? Is there something that you need? You want to play? You don't want to play? Why? Why are you staring at me or barking at me? Why is that?
Yeah.
And sometimes what I hear from pets is that, well, okay, so I want to say, anytime somebody asks that question, it's because their pet is trying to express something that's not in that normal list. Okay. All right. So
Right.
let's just say that the answer from the pet is going to be something outside of that list.
Sure.
And what I often hear is that moment connects the pet back to their human, their caretaker, and the contract that they have together. So follow this for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So my cat jumps on my chest. I have to stop what I'm doing and try and figure out what she needs and why is she doing that? And I'll hear back the cat will say that my person is like in their head too much at that moment and they need to break away from whatever they're doing.
I was
And
just thinking about that with my dog. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so they need to break away from what they were just doing and take a break from it. So when they go back, they'll have a clearer picture. And that can equate to just sitting there worried about something that the worrying doesn't help. But you're in your head worrying about something and you're like muddling through it. And if you were to step away and then come back to it, the problem, the solution to that problem reveals itself, right?
Sure.
More easily. Um, or they literally might be spending too much time on social media. And the pet could feel their um their energy dropping, or their self-esteem kind of dropping or what have you, that can come from too much screen time or too much social media time, right? And so the pet intervenes and says, hey, let's go take a break from this because I can tell your frequency, your energy level is not where it needs to be, and let's go do something different and reset. And that something different could be just, all I need to do is snap you out of it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Because generally people, if that's the case, they go through that list with their pets, but then they end up getting a glass of water or a cup of tea, going to the bathroom, maybe, and the next thing you know, they have shifted, yeah, their mindset.
Right. That's huge. Just before you brought that up, I was going to say my dog does tell me to get off the cell phone, off my phone. If I'm standing there looking at my phone, doing something, whatever it is, she will tell me to get off my phone. I can hear her. She whines, but she's telling me, pay attention to something else besides that phone.
Yeah,
Especially me. But yeah, her.
right, yeah, because I'm here to help you to do that, yeah.
I'm here to help you do that. Yeah. You need to put that thing down. So yeah, guidance does talk to our animals for sure. Put that thing down and do something a little more productive. Okay.
Yeah, or if you're really going to have rest time, rest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh,
I have noticed that I do notice that when I'm spending too much time on electronics, um on my computer or on my phone, my energy level starts dropping and I'm like yawning and I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to get away from this. It's draining me. I could
yeah.
just see, and being intuitives like we are, and just feel and see my energy being sucked into whatever it is that I've got trapped into.
Well, right. And so, yeah, stepping away.